AI is here. It's not going to be avoided. What a simple advice do we have for management professions, business professionals who yet are to adopt AI in the workplace?
Well, thanks, Phil, for having me. AI is a lot of things, and it's been here for a while. I think what we're all now, AI is having its moment right now with GPTs, but as of 15 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So the toughest thing for people to do is to just start using it. And I'm talking about ChatGPT just because it's the market leader right now. There are others, of course, but GPT does have the best answers and the fastest response time, easiest interface for anyone to pick up. So if you haven't used it yet, I strongly recommend you do it just because the future workforce is going to, it's an end game tool. Every kid in school today needs GPT to get things done, just like when the calculator came in to replace the slide rule. It's really no different. It's just navigating AI is tough because things change so quickly week by week over the last 15 months, really. It's just exploded.
Yeah, so I think I like that example, right? When I was in school, and Justin quickly pointed out it was the 70s and the 80s for me. When I was in school, you could not bring a calculator to school, right? In fact, I mean, I couldn't even afford a calculator at the time. That was not an inexpensive purchase, right? That was a leading edge technology to me. And that was not allowed. I went to Catholic schools. The nuns would not allow you to use a calculator. And maybe for my own good to learn how to do, my timetables and addition, subtraction, that stuff. But today, every kid in school is using AI in ways that we're not necessarily applying it yet at work. In fact, they get to work and they're told you can't use it, don't use it. What is it
Right.
that creates that fear from your point of view?
Well, I mean, the fear I think goes back to what you're talking about with the headlines are just reminding us about how scary AI can be or how wrong it can be with its biases. I mean, this is a true form of intelligence, and all intelligence has some form of bias, just like humans do. And we really just need to navigate week by week, month by month, the evolution of the technology and how we can apply it to our business operations or even just our daily lives. So, um, I can't emphasize this enough. You just got to use it to understand what kind of responses you will get so that you know when to use the tool and how to use it correctly because it can't do everything today. I mean, it's 2024 and wait a year and it's gonna keep continuing to blow our minds.
But
So
as you and I were talking in the pre-show, it's like, but don't wait a year to learn to use it. Like we're going to have
oh
to
no.
evolve with this technology, or you're going to struggle maybe to get caught up, or you're going to miss opportunities to advance your organization.
Exactly. It's like any other compliance thing. It's going to always be evolving and always changing, and the companies are going to have to adapt with it, and then the AI will adapt back to the companies. And if you don't stay on top of it, you're going to get lost in it. I mean, it's a huge world out there right now with AI, all the different startups, and you see the AI ecosystem. It's every day there's a new AI startup looking to change how we work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And okay, so when is a good time to use AI and maybe a time not to think about AI as a useful tool?
Well, I think the biggest concern with most companies and people personally is just privacy. Is what information do you want to be giving these cloud service-based GPTs? And when it comes to, financial data or personal information, that's the time not to use it probably, unless you're really comfortable giving all your information to the big tech companies. But really, when it comes down to content creation, it's killing it at content creation. If you just have the best example I could give you is whenever you want to use Google, try GPT
Yeah.
instead.
I think that's a great piece of advice because I do find myself going to GPT more and more for things I might have otherwise Googled, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
you might save yourself a few steps. You might get an answer that you weren't expecting, but just more time in the prompt text field and just interacting with it is going to help the average person just understand its capabilities for because everyone's unique circumstances are going to have unique AI solutions to it. And that's the
Hmm.
tough part about it. But I think we all write emails.
Yep.
I think we all from time to time will look up a recipe and GPT will just create a recipe
Yeah.
that tastes good. You know what I mean?
That, yeah. So I mean, you could be the next one to post your recipe on your social site for that, created by GPT. So what
Yeah.
some things that I have done with GPT, and people will ask me often in our roundtables or in other environments, they'll say, well, what have you used it for, right? And these are some examples where I've used it where maybe I'm writing a response for me that I'm struggling to creatively write my email response, or
Right.
I'm struggling to write a message that I'm going to use in some way. So I kind of I write it, and I know it's not the best. And I would then take that to my assistant, Debbie, and I say, hey, Deb, make this better. And what I
Yeah,
now do is
exactly.
I take that and I plug it into, I write it, I plug it into Chat GPT, and I say, how can I say this better? I want to emphasize A, B, and C. And then it gives me a response, and I might have to do some editing, I might not, but it's always so much better. It's always so much better.
Yeah, it's a great drafting tool whenever you're going to write an email like you're saying. For me personally, I use it to code it's pretty good at coding. It's also very good at well, really like for instance, the PowerPoint I just did for the Wayfinder event. That's
Yeah.
about 80% written by AI.
Okay,
And
impressive. Yeah. So if we're going to come see you at the Wayfinder event, we're going to see a presentation that has heavily been influenced by AI.
oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And so if I only put in 20% of the work, I basically got a 5x return on it.
Hey,
It's one way to
Justin's
look.
taking notes right now. These lawyers are presenting and building things all the time. And I say that's probably the second field that I hear that's under attack, in the public. SoundCloud is, the legal field as far as
Yeah.
legal students using this to get their degree in their writing. And we know Justin didn't do that, that's for sure.
No, not
But
Justin.
no, but it, that's the concern. But I think that's just the new tool, right? You still have to read it, you still have to edit it, you still have to fact check some things for now. But that's how it's being applied in the most basic ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the new skill to be learned in that example, it's prompting. It's just how do you know how to talk to it? Do you know how to get the kind of result you're looking for? And that's
Yeah.
really going to depend on your field. And like I said, I'm going to keep re-emphasizing this. You just got to put time into it and
Yeah.
understand how it's biased or what adjectives it always uses when you want it to draft an email because it seems to have a certain style. And sometimes and if you just work with it and keep prompting it and keep prompting it, you'll eventually get the result you're looking for. But as you continue to use it over time, and I've used it for about a year and a half almost every single day, you just start to get better at the prompting, and the less prompts to get the intended result, the more efficient you become.
Yeah. One of the things that, I mean, for everyone's awareness, you're working on a few projects for us in addition to going to be our speaker at the Wayfinder event. And one of the things that beyond like GPT, where you're just using it to write some messaging, is for the profession to maybe get their head around. We get a lot of the same questions. If I think like employee handbooks for a moment,
Sure.
people come in, what's our handbook say for this, or what about this question or that question, and we might even put someone back and point them back to the handbook. Well, the handbook says, you're allowed
Yeah.
this much absence or this many tardies, or this is how, funeral leave works, or this is how you apply for family medical leave, or here's the form. Those types of things that really create disruption in HR. from a standpoint of I got to stop what I'm doing, then I got to serve my customer, the employee that comes in with the question, and then I got to re-engage back in what I'm doing. Now, some people will say, well, that's exactly HR, but that's also the thing that gets in the way from us being progressive and moving forward. So one of the things you're doing for us is you're taking our some of our databases of information, and you're making that we're designing that and making that available through a GPT format for our member base. So you're just going to interact with GPT and ask it the questions to get the responses in a bot method. What would you encourage HR people to think about in their business as it relates to how they might use the technology to save them that time from disruption or interaction with employees on common questions?
Yeah, I mean, as an HR professional, I mean, just look at your pain points. Look at what like you're saying, the FAQs is a great one, the employee handbook, onboarding,
Yeah.
ongoing training. The list goes on and on. It's like, how many of these interactions are you having with your employees that could be done with AI? And I think that's a great place to start. And that's what we're doing here at AIM with the member feedback survey bot,
Yeah.
basically. And I mean, we're talking thousands of pages of analysis that you can just ask it a normal, like, conversational question, and this is going to give you a nice detailed answer in a few seconds.
Yeah. And that when you get into analysis, I just want to take a pause here. There's some great responses. AI is to HR as cars are to buggy whip. That's quite funny, right? That's a good advancement. A shovel is to grab. Shovel is to grave. Well, that's a little dark. Let's look at some poll results here, and let's get you and or Justin to comment on these. Nick, what can you pull up from our poll results real quick?
Let's go ahead and pull up the how well the AI sniffer is. All right.
Oh,
So we're looking at
all
this.
right.
Yeah, and so we had a range on this from I can always sniff out AI to I don't know. I mean, Phil and Bert could even be AI for all I know. And as you see, we're a little more on that end.
I accept that my intelligence may be artificial. I agree. I understand that. But Bert, I mean, he's he's pure machine. But yeah, so they think it's pretty average to sniff it out. Um, I I I don't know that I think my intelligence to sniff it out is average. I don't know when I can see it.
Yeah, I think they're more
I
leaning towards not being able to tell.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
this is
there
going
you
to keep going in that direction over time. It's just going to get harder and harder to recognize. Yeah.
Yeah, which is scary and also a little exciting at the same time, right? What else you got, Nick?
So
I
we
can't
also
hear you,
have
Nick.
you how have you educated yourself on the use of AI in your role? And happy to report here, 28.6% by watching This Week at Work. So we're doing some
Oh,
good in this realm, and I think a lot of it's having guests like Tyler on and those in the legal field who also are looking out on things to watch out for in practice, right?
yeah. No, and I mean, I'm happy to hear that. That's why we do this program. I mean, Bert and I, Justin, I mean, we're very dedicated to helping educate our audience to, be better business leaders. And so that's a really great response. Um, I like that, and tell us more what you want to learn about, and we'll make sure that we do that. Um, Justin, the second response is experimenting, right?
Yeah.
So one of the more common questions, not Justin, I apologize, Tyler. One of the more common questions that I get on experimenting is, do I need to pay for the upgraded version of GPT, which costs about $20 a month right
Right.
now for that? Any insights on if you are starting, do I need to pay for that?
No, you don't need to pay. I think most users are getting most of its benefit with the unpaid stuff. But if you're someone who wants to generate a lot of AI images, let's say you're in marketing, it's probably worth it. If you're looking for more complex language structure for something creative, that's another reason to upgrade to the 4 or 4.5 turbo. But to answer your question, no, you don't. to get going here, you absolutely don't need to pay for anything. And that's what's so amazing about this tool. Remember that old calculator of yours was expensive, right?
Oh yeah.
But this tool is free and it's changing fast every week. That's what's so crazy about AI.
Thank you once again for tuning in to This Week at Work. If you enjoy the show, please share it with your colleagues. Forward our invites. Share the link aimea.org/thisweekatwork, or follow or subscribe wherever you get your news and entertainment, like LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're everywhere you are. And you can be part of the show. Send your questions and comments anytime to info@thisweek.work. We'll see you next week, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, when we discuss what's happening this week at work.